Discipline isn't hard when it's who you are. It's only hard when you're trying to overwrite who you used to be. This is where most people lose. They try to build new habits, but they haven't changed their identity yet. And because of that, they don't stay consistent long enough for the new habits to stick. They try it out and they may even live disciplined for a little while, but it doesn't become who they are yet. Let's say you want to start waking up at 4 a.m. You lock in for a week, maybe even 2 weeks. And then one morning you wake up and you are extra tired. So instead of getting up at 4 o'clock, you go back to sleep. And the same thing the next day, and the same thing the next day. And then before you know it, it's been 2 weeks before you even seen 4 a.m. Same with working out. You hit a rhythm. You're locked in for 2 weeks, maybe even a month. Then you get sick or, life starts lifing, and then you break the streak. Now it becomes optional again. You work out when it's convenient. You fall into like this half routine until you restart again for the 20th time. And this cycle can go on for years. But through all of that calling on your life never stops calling. That feeling, damn, I need to start working out more. Damn, I need to wake up at 4 a.m. It never stops calling you. So you try again and again until eventually it finally sticks. Now, I gave you those two examples because those two examples are directly from my life. I was killing it, waking up every morning at 4 o'clock, hitting my walks in the morning, coming in here, reading my goals every morning, reading my devotionals every morning, and then springtime came, them allergies came. I just felt like I got beat up. And so instead of waking up at 4 o'clock, I stayed in bed next to my wife every morning. And just like that, 2 weeks went by before I saw 4 o'clock again. And also during that time, I was working out super and consistently. Oh, didn't work out the last couple days, chest day again. But here's what I discovered. If your self-image is still built around inconsistency, then every little obstacle that pops up is a perfect excuse for you to go backwards, for you to sabotage. Discipline doesn't fail you. It's your identity that fails you. The way to solve this is to decide who you are right now and then start acting like that person right now, even when it's difficult, especially when it's difficult. That's how you start to make discipline effortless. You keep the promises that you make to yourself, regardless of how you feel, regardless if your allergies are kicking your ass or you wake up tired. And this is something that I'm still working through. I'm not perfect by any means, but if you take a chart of my life and a graph, it's a continuous upward trajectory. You just got to do the task, take the emotion out of it, do the task, whether you feel like it or not. Some days you're going to be super motivated to do it. Some days you're not going to feel like moving. But what I've discovered is try not to let 2 days go by where you don't do something that's going to push you into the version of you that you're trying to be. And you start to change your identity by doing that. You start to gain confidence by doing that. You become someone who keeps their word to themselves. Someone who's not scared to do shit that they don't feel like doing. That's not scared to do things that are uncomfortable. Or do things that you don't feel like doing, but that are going to make you better. Let me show you why this keeps happening in the first place. The habits that you're trying to develop aren't sticking because your actions aren't lining up with the person that you've subconsciously decided you are. We'll go back. If your identity is still built around inconsistency, your brain is going to keep rejecting the new behavior, making it harder to stick. And that's when we create self-sabotaging patterns. Like you've got no proof yet. So your nervous system just fights it. But what you have to do is you've got to begin earning the proof, rep by rep. That's how you rewire your identity. That's how you finally get these habits to stick. You don't try to wake up at 4 a.m. anymore. You are someone who wakes up at 4 a.m. You don't try to train every day. You are someone who trains every day. Whether you're tired, whether you're busy, whether, life starts lifing. And the moment that becomes your identity, you stop negotiating with your habits. But getting there requires acting like the person before you actually feel like the person. You don't just do it when it's convenient. You do it effortlessly because that's who you've become. But until you get there, it's a fight. The old version of you versus the new version of you that you're trying to become. It's like your back stuck to flypaper. You're pulling, you're struggling, you're trying to move forward, but part of you just keeps snapping back. You're not fully free yet, but you're starting to peel away. Rep by rep, decision by decision, you're starting to loosen the grip that, your old identity has on you. And even as you move forward, there's pieces of your old identity that are going to continue hanging on. They're going to continue kind of making you struggle and sabotage. The version of you that gave up too easy, the one that, always looks for a way out, or the one that makes excuses. That version of you still lives in your system. And until you shut that operating system down for good, developing these new habits is always going to feel like a fight, because your brain is still trying to protect the old version of you from this new version of you that feels unfamiliar. When you start trying to develop better habits, it doesn't just require discipline. It requires you to become a new person, a person that follows through, a person that doesn't make excuses, a person that keeps the promises that they make to themselves. And I've lived this. Even with all the work that I've done, there are still days when I feel resistance creeping in. There is nothing in this world more comfortable at 4 a.m. than my bed laying next to my wife. When I feel out of the discipline of getting up every morning at 4 a.m. until I reset it, it was a fight. The alarm goes off and everything in me is like screaming, just get up, get up, get up. And then the other side is like, nah, man, turn the alarm off. That bed is too comfortable, man. Just go back to sleep for a couple hours. And that's how it happens. A negotiation. Well, my brain ain't even fully functioning yet. Because if you wake up early, your brain's still foggy and I have those two sides fighting. And so until I reset it, man, I'm changing the alarm from 4 back to 6, and I'm laying back in that warm bed. But now I finally understand what's happening underneath it all with the identity. And so it's easier to get up and say, no, this is who you are. You are somebody that gets up at 4 o'clock. You are somebody that does this. And so when that becomes your identity, it makes it easier. There's still going to be a fight until you fully transition into that person, but you're more easily able to say to yourself, no, this is who I am. I'm not negotiating. You've probably told yourself, I'm just not motivated today. I just need to be more disciplined. Man, I'm lazy. I always fall off. You probably told yourself that. But here's the truth that you've probably never been told. Most people don't struggle with habits. Most people struggle with that internal identity that those habits conflict with. You say that you want to be consistent, but subconsciously, you're still the one that's going to stop at the slightest little bit of discomfort, or you self-sabotage, or you procrastinate. But check this out. Some people actually do have an easier time developing and keeping habits. I know. It's frustrating for me too, to think about people who just can easily pick up new habits, easily stay disciplined. But here's the reason. Some people's nervous systems were raised in environments that actually supported consistency. They were rewarded for structure. They were modeled healthy emotional regulation, or they were given safety around correction, failure, or growth. So when they build a new habit, it feels familiar. Their body doesn't fight it as much. But if, like me, you weren't raised like that, if your life was unpredictable or unstable or reactive, then structure feels unnatural. Peace can feel foreign, or commitment can feel threatening. Or if you were always the fixer or the helper, then self-discipline can actually feel selfish. Like making time for yourself actually feels like betrayal. And you easily just quit on yourself so that you can fulfill that old role of your identity. You got to remember, your brain is wired to return to what feels emotionally familiar, not what's logically better. And this is why most of the time willpower alone fails. You're not fighting laziness, you're fighting biology. So how do you change it? Well, first off, you don't fix it by talking crazy to yourself. None of that, I'm not good enough, I'm never consistent, I need to become more disciplined, and then doing nothing about it. None of that. You have to actually rewire it from the inside out. First, you need to acknowledge that your nervous system, it needs time to understand that these new habits are safe. You got to understand that the resistance is just part of the rewiring. Most importantly, though, you need to align with your new identity. You need to actually, become the future version of you. What do they look like? How do they talk? How do they walk? How do they act? What do they do under pressure? Decide who that is. Decide how you want to live your life and become that version of you. It's like sleeping, right? Whenever you go to sleep, you're actually pretending to sleep in order to go to sleep. It's kind of the same process. You're pretending, quote unquote, to be the version of you that you want to be, and then you will ultimately become that version of you. And you just got to keep on being that person. If you fail, get up and do it again tomorrow. If you, become impatient or rude or whatever, you revert back to those old programmings that you have, try again, become conscious of it and try again and keep on doing that. And eventually all this will stick and you will become that new version of you. Here's what I discovered, the quote unquote winners in life. What I discovered about how they build habits, it's not just doing something over and over and over and over and over until the habit sticks. It's a little bit deeper than that. They start with identity. They don't start with effort. They don't say, I want to wake up early. They say, I am someone who wakes up early. And they live their life as that I am. They don't say, I should go to the gym today. They say, I am a person who trains every day. And for goodness sakes, stop saying, I need to blank and then doing nothing. When you're around disciplined people or successful people, we have a tendency to say, I need to start waking up earlier. I need to eat better. I need to start working out. You're only saying that because you're trying to relate to the disciplined person that you're talking to. But the truth is, you don't believe yourself. Neither do they. It's just something that you're saying. Stop saying that and actually do something. Also, winners don't rely on motivation. Winners rely on alignment. They've decided who they want to be. They've decided what they've wanted to accomplish. And they continue on that path regardless of how it feels. There is no negotiation. Now, again, in the spirit of transparency, I am not 100% perfect. Nobody is. What you should be doing is making progress. You don't have to get it right every single day. Just get it right more days than you get it wrong. And over time, you're going to build proof of who you are, of who you're becoming. And then that's just who you are. But don't beat yourself up if you don't get it perfect every day. You're more than likely not going to. So don't beat yourself up. Just pick yourself up and try again and continue doing that. For many of you, you know that there's a version of you deep down that's calling you to come forth, a version of you that knows that you're meant for more. You can feel it, but your habits, they've got you to where you are right now, to that version of you. So the version of you that you're ultimately going to become has to create new habits that are the habits of the person that you want to become, not the habits of the person that has gotten you where you're at. Understand, you don't become consistent by being perfect. You become consistent by being in integrity with who you say you are, even on hard days. So start here. Pick one habit that the future you would do daily. Then do it. No applause, no overthinking, just rips. Now, when you start doing shit that's actually good for you and you don't need to tell anybody, that's a winner's mindset. If you've got to tell people all the good stuff that you're doing that for ego. You're not doing that to make yourself better. You're doing that for applause or attention. Now, certainly if somebody asks, tell them what you're doing to improve yourself, but don't lead with it just for the sake of getting someone's attention or approval or applause. When you do this for long enough, often enough, and you've got the reps and you've got the new habits and you've got the proof of who you are now, you're going to be a new you, a more confident you, a more consistent you, a more productive you, a better leader, more focused, more dangerous in the best way possible. You wake up and you don't second guess. You don't negotiate with yourself. You just show up because that is who you are now. The most powerful thing that you, me, or anybody could ever become is a person that keeps the promises that they've made to themselves, even when it's challenging, mostly when it's challenging, because it's easy to do the shit when it feels good, when you feel like doing it. It's difficult to continue doing it when you don't feel like doing it, when life is life, and when you feel sick or tired. That's when it's difficult, and that's when it's most important. If you've heard anybody that's ever worked out consistently, they'll pretty much all tell you a story about how they went to the gym when they didn't feel like it, when they were tired, and it ended up being one of the best workouts that they've had. Funny how that works. They made themselves do something that they didn't feel like doing, and the reward was better than had they felt like doing it. So, in kind of wrapping up, here's what I want you to do. Forget perfection, forget streaks, forget 30-day challenges. Start with one identity, one standard, one small daily act that will prove to yourself who you want to be. One of those things could be waking up early. My advice is, if you do that, make it useful. Don't just wake up early and scroll on Instagram or something. But you could wake up early and go for a walk or work out or meditate. Read your goals. Whenever I wake up at 4 o'clock, I wake up, I go for a 2-mile walk, I come back, I meditate for 30 minutes. Once that's done, I come in here, I read my goals, I read my devotionals, and think about, what I want my dream life to look like. And for you, if it's not waking up at 4 a.m., find a new identity. Walk every day, work out every day, read a book every day that's going to help grow you. Find something and do something that you struggle to stay consistent with, and do it until it sticks. And as we talked about before, if you miss a day, do it again the next day. Don't go 2 days without doing the thing. Never miss 2 days in a row. Always do something. Whenever I would fall off, or if I fall off, I'd still do something. I'd never bag all my habits. And you also have to remember that momentum's not about motivation, because you're not always going to be motivated. It's about proof. If you keep showing up with proof, momentum is going to show up and carry you. You're not necessarily building habits. You're building evidence that you've changed. You're building evidence to show you that you're capable of becoming who you want to be. If you want to separate yourself from everybody else, don't try to out-discipline them. You have to out-align them. Align yourself with the person that you're becoming. Align yourself with the future version of you. You try to out-discipline people, you're just gonna get burnt out. Alignment is where it's at. Align yourself with the rich you, the fit you, the joyful you, the grateful you. That's all I got. I hope you got something from this. If you think anybody could use this message, go ahead and share it with them. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, all the things. I appreciate you sticking around. I appreciate you watching or listening. Hope you have a great day. As always, make good choices, and I'll see you on the next one.